In a letter to respected COP21 world leaders in Paris, France in 2015, Supreme Master Ching Hai urgently advised them to implement vegan law as the solution to mitigate global warming. The letter reads as follows. Respected COP21 world leaders Paris, my special salute and best wishes to all of your distinguished, honoured ladies and gentlemen who have gathered in Paris for the protection of our world. This is just a reminder that just paying money alone cannot save lives, but being vegan does. A lot of evidence and information about this for you to consider are in the book From Crisis to Peace, free online at crisis2peace.org. Countless lives in the present and future, including yours and your children's future, children of your children's, are in your hands. Save them by voting for and implementing vegan law to stabilize the climate. Otherwise, lives on Earth will perish and we will be committing a graver offense than all the acts of killing and wars combined. With all love in God, yours most sincerely, Supreme Master Ching Hai. Vegan.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule.
番組は多言語放送です。放送予定は suprememastertv.com/schedule。
Humanity is on thin ice, and that ice is melting fast. This report is a clarion call to massively fast-track climate efforts by every country and every sector and on every time frame. Our world needs climate action on all fronts, everything, everywhere, all at once.
The United Nations Final Warning on Climate Change. Act now before it's too late. Part 1 of 2. Continue watching to find out more.
Welcome to our show, the United Nations Final Warning on Climate Change. Act now before it's too late, Part 1 of 2. All around the globe, concern about global warming is growing, with news about climate-related disasters appearing almost daily. As temperatures rise, the number and intensity of heat waves, floods, droughts, hurricanes, tornadoes, forest fires, and other extreme events continue to increase. Many people are beginning to wonder if there is any safe place on Earth to live.
Climate change driven by human activities caused record high temperatures on land and in oceans. Droughts, floods and heat waves affected every continent.
Last June and July, sea ice in Antarctica receded to record lows, and the melting of some European glaciers was off the charts.
Italy is now facing the threat of severe droughts. The European nations' rivers and lakes are already running low on water, and this can have negative implications on its farming, hydropower and drinking water needs.
Over the past several years, the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or IPCC, a shining world leadership for life-saving hero or water laureate, composed of hundreds of the world's top climatologists, has been gathering data about global warming and compiling the findings in its sixth assessment report, or AR6. On March 20th, 2023, the IPCC released the final installment of the AR6 in a document called Climate Change 2023 Synthesis Report. This report provides a complete up-to-date picture of human-induced climate change, including its effects on our planet and what we must do to mitigate it. When releasing the report, the UN Secretary-General, His Excellency Antonio Guterres, issued this sobering message.
The rate of temperature rise in the last half century is the highest in 2,000 years. Concentrations of carbon dioxide are at their highest in at least 2 million years. The climate time bomb is ticking.
On today's program, we'll look at some of the IPCC's 2023 Synthesis Report findings and learn why the UN is warning us that the climate time bomb is ticking. One of the report's most concerning findings regards the warming that has already occurred. The average global temperature is 1.1 degrees Celsius, higher than pre-industrial levels, and the world is warmer than at any other time in the past 125,000 years. The report further warns that global temperatures will continue to rise and probably reach 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels within the next 10 years. Even at the current rise of 1.1 degrees Celsius, climate change is generating unprecedented disasters in recent human history. The UN estimates that even today, more than 3 billion people are vulnerable to its effects. Furthermore, at 1.1 degrees Celsius warming, we have reached the limit to which humans, plants, and animal people can adapt. Any further temperature rise will result in increased displacement or death among humans and animal people and the destruction of many ecosystems. Even by 2022, in virtually every place on Earth, including Africa, Asia, North, Central, and South America, and small island nations in the Caribbean and South Pacific, millions of people were displaced by floods, droughts, hurricanes, and other catastrophic weather events. For example, in Pakistan, record-breaking rainfall in July and August of 2022 led to extensive flooding, leaving vast swaths of the country underwater. The flooding caused more than 1,700 deaths, affected an estimated 33 million people, and displaced almost 8 million. The damage and economic losses to the country were estimated to be $30 billion. Some parts of Pakistan were still flooded several months after the deluge, and the people continued to suffer.
This is what climate change does. It ruins people's livelihoods. It means whole villages are flooded. It means people have to live in tents along the side of the road, and horrible diseases kill their children. And it's going to happen again. And it will keep happening until more is done.
While people in Pakistan were wading through floodwaters, many other countries were experiencing widespread droughts and water shortages. The report states that half of the global population currently experiences severe water scarcity at least sometime during the year. In Africa, Kenya, Ethiopia, Somalia, Uganda, and South Sudan have suffered multi-year droughts. The UN estimates that over 20 million people in East Africa have been affected by droughts, and more than 2.2 million in Somalia and Ethiopia have been displaced. The droughts make planting crops almost impossible, raising even further concerns over food security. Concerned viewers, we'll take a moment to pray for the safety and spiritual elevation of all beings on earth. We'll be back after this message. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television.
Be veg. Go green. Do good deed.
Welcome back to our program, the United Nations Final Warning on Climate Change. Act Now Before It's Too Late, Part 1 of 2. The IPCC report states that heat waves have become increasingly prevalent due to rising global temperatures and are now affecting billions of people. For example, in the summer of 2022, China suffered the hottest and longest-lasting heat wave since national record-keeping began. With high temperatures lasting from mid-June until the end of August, China recorded its hottest summer, exceeding the previous record by more than 0.5 degrees Celsius. Another dangerous effect of climate change is rising sea levels. Arctic ice is at record low levels, and the ice sheets on Greenland and Antarctica are melting at unprecedented rates. As a result, sea levels currently are rising twice as fast as 2 decades ago, threatening many coastal cities and low-lying island nations. The IPCC report states that climate change also affects global health. As global temperatures go up, an ever-increasing number of people die from heat stroke, while cases of vector-borne diseases such as malaria, West Nile virus, and Lyme disease are also increasing. The IPCC scientists stressed that a rise of 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels is a dangerous threshold. At this level of warming, an estimated 950 million people will experience water stress, heat stress, and desertification of croplands, while 24% of the world's population will experience flooding. The scientists warn that if we exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius, climate change will likely be irreversible, and humanity's very existence will be threatened. The synthesis report warns that every fraction of a degree of global temperature increase is critical to humanity's future. However, despite these dire warnings, the IPCC report does offer a glimmer of hope for the future. It states that if we act immediately and with the cooperation of all world governments, we can halt global warming. To limit warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius, the report states that we must stop any further increase in greenhouse gas (GHG) emissions by no later than 2025. We must then make deep, rapid, and sustained reductions in GHG emissions, reducing them by 43% by 2030 and 60% by 2035, relative to 2019 levels. The report makes several recommendations about how this can be achieved, including a rapid shift away from the use of fossil fuels, widespread adoption of renewable energy sources, a change to more sustainable agriculture, intensive reforestation, and most importantly, a global shift to a plant-based diet. His Excellency Antonio Guterres stressed that we have very little time left to make these changes.
Humanity is on thin ice, and that ice is melting fast. This report is a clarion call to massively fast-track climate efforts by every country and every sector and on every time frame. In short, our world needs climate action on all fronts, everything, everywhere, all at once.
Professor Peter Thorne, a climatologist from Maynooth University in Ireland and one of the report's authors, says that despite changes made in the short term, global temperatures will continue to go up and will probably reach 1.5 degrees Celsius within the next 10 years. He adds, "The real question is whether our will to reduce emissions quickly means we reach 1.5 degrees but then come back down, or whether we go blasting through 1.5 degrees, go through even 2 degrees and keep on going." What concerning news from the UN's IPCC? We pray that all world governments take immediate action to encourage a shift to the plant-based lifestyle as the fastest way to halt global warming. For more information on the IPCC Climate Change 2023 Synthesis Report, please visit ipcc.ch/report/6th-assessment-report-cycle/.
All information concerning the scientific evidence of climate change and its solution is in Supreme Master Ching Hai's book, From Crisis to Peace, free for download at crisistopeace.org.
In a letter to respected COP21 world leaders in Paris, France in 2015, Supreme Master Ching Hai urgently advised them to implement vegan law as the solution to mitigate global warming. The letter reads as follows. Respected COP21 world leaders Paris, my special salute and best wishes to all of your distinguished, honoured ladies and gentlemen who have gathered in Paris for the protection of our world. This is just a reminder that just paying money alone cannot save lives, but being vegan does. A lot of evidence and information about this for you to consider are in the book From Crisis to Peace, free online at crisistopeace.org. Countless lives in the present and future, including yours and your children's future, children of your children's, are in your hands. Save them by voting for and implementing vegan law to stabilize the climate. Otherwise, lives on Earth will perish and we will be committing a graver offense than all the acts of killing and wars combined. With all love in God, yours most sincerely, Supreme Master Ching Hai.
Vegan.